What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another live stream. Sim is about, I don't know where he is right now in this world, but he is on his way to Hong Kong for the pre-season tour. And all week you have the dream team with you, myself and Mr. Brian Daigle from Tottenham on Tour. Everyone do go and smash that subscribe button on Tottenham on Tour. How many away from 10,000 are you now, Mr. Brian?
Under 250. Under 250. So hopefully with my residency here this week, we can do it. If not, I'm going to take up squatters' rights and see it's done. And you can't come back until we got there. But yeah, very much looking forward to the residency this week with you, Ben.
Yeah, me too, my brother. Me too. But first and foremost, look, we're going to get into all the what's been happening over the last couple of days. I want to hear from you, your reaction. I mean, we've spoken a little bit about it behind closed doors, but the people, the We Are Tottenham TV army need to hear from you on the Morgan Gibbs-White situation, on the state of the current transfer window. And yeah, we'll get into that a bit later on in the stream. But let's get into this Tottenham update first and foremost, because there's been some interesting updates today. First up, we're going to talk about Mr. Mikey Moore. Interesting development with him, as Matt Law says that Rangers have emerged as favourites to sign Mikey Moore on loan from Tottenham. There's been a lot of interest, particularly from the Championship, but Rangers is seen as the most likely destination. And Sky Sports has said that Spurs and Mikey Moore both believe that the season of regular first-team football will be the best for his development. Spurs forward Mikey Moore is expected now to join Rangers on a season-long loan deal. It'll be a straight loan. Moore chose Rangers despite several offers from clubs in the Championship. So we obviously saw yesterday that he's been left out the tour to find a loan move for the current season. What's your opinion on Mikey going on loan, particularly to Rangers?
First of all, I think the loan move is the right thing to do. I can't see him getting regular first-team football, especially if we get rid of Son and we bring in another left winger. He needs to go and get regular game minutes, develop, and come back to Tottenham Hotspur a much stronger player with a lot more experience under his belt. When I was thinking of loan moves, you were looking, obviously you think Championship. Obviously there was the links with Borussia Dortmund, which I think would have been fantastic, the way they've developed young talent and specifically English. But Rangers is, I wouldn't have thought the Scottish League, but I think that's a great move. He'll get regular first-team football. He'll get regular. It'll be a tough competition, as in the standard and the physicality of it. I think it could be the making of him.
And you know, they're currently in the Champions League as well. They're in the second round qualifying right now. They're 2-0 up against Panathinaikos after the first leg. So what unbelievable experience it could be for him going to a big club, playing in that stadium, Ibrox. We got a taste of it last season. The atmosphere there, and as well, he is actually going to be the highest valued player in the SPL next season. How mad is that?
That's insane. But that is insane when you think about it. But yeah, the great thing, like I said, that it is a ginormous football club. Forget the league it's in. Rangers and Celtic, obviously, are massive, massive football clubs worldwide. And this will be a very, very good move for him. And like we said, it's going to be obviously a standard that he should do well in. He's going to learn a lot about the physicality of the game. There'll be a lot of attention on him. And it's the right move. Alone is the right move. And Rangers looks like his destination, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I feel like it's a loan move where he could go there a boy and come back a man. I think that Scotland could be the making of him. I really do. Play week in, week out football. Score a bag of goals up there. Be an influential player week in, week out for Rangers, and then come back and really fight for your place at Tottenham.
Perfectly put, Ben. I've got nothing else to say. You have just wrapped it up and summed it up perfectly, beautifully.
Thank you, my friend. Let's talk about a bit of a strange one regarding Antonin Kinsky. Loic Tanzi, a journalist out in France, saying that Lille are in negotiations with Tottenham to sign Antonin Kinsky on loan. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, surely this can't be true. Like, what, we're going to go into next season as Brandon Austin is our number 2? Like, I just can't see it. Kinsky has done well in pre-season so far. We saw him at the back end of last season, did really well. we've all been speaking about how he's probably a better fit than Vicario for the number 1 jersey for Thomas Frank as well, with his ability to play out the back. Can you see there be any truth in this?
Absolutely none. Absolutely no. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Like you said, we all thought, you think the attributes that Kinsky has are much suited to what we've seen him have as his style of goalkeeper at Brentford. And a lot of people were thinking maybe he's going to be the number 1 by the end of the season. We've seen his distribution in both the Reading and the game that he played on Saturday.
Luton, yeah.
Luton, yeah, made a couple of good saves there. One of them stood out, which is where we were kind of dubious on that shot-stopping quality. And the only way I can see this even ever remotely being true is if we're bringing in a top goalkeeper, which is either going to relegate Vicario to the bench or be serious competition. And I just can't see Spurs doing that. So I think Kinsky stays at Spurs, and whether he becomes the number 1 by the end of the season is another question. But I just can't believe there's a single ounce of truth in this.
If his shot stopping keeps getting better, and I think it was better at the back end of last season, it definitely was on show on the weekend against Luton, brilliant save, then he can overtake Vicario for that number 1 spot, in my opinion. And that's if Vicario doesn't improve his playing out the back, which hasn't seemed to have done. It just doesn't make sense to let go of Kinsky and to sell Keeley in the same window. It just makes no sense.
Joe, I'm just slightly disagree with you on something here. I think, first of all, I mentioned it on a tweet. I think Vicario's distribution, yes, it was Luton, and yes, it wasn't Premier League pressing and everything. His distribution was night and day from what it's been recently. Like, his distribution was his long passing, short passing looked more comfortable. It looks like Otto's come in, or Otte, however you pronounce the goalkeeper coach, has already been working with him on it. I thought his distribution looked a lot sharper. Like I said, it's only 1 game, but we saw against Reading when he came on, he looked very uncomfortable on the ball. Against Luton, he looked very comfortable on the ball. And maybe Otto has, or Otte, sorry, however you pronounce his name, has been working on it. But one of the main things I took away from the Luton game, and let's face it, there wasn't exactly loads of positives to write home about, was Vicario's distribution.
Look, it wasn't bad against Luton, but I still don't think it's on the level of what Kinsky can provide and what he's shown so far in a Spurs shirt. I mean, just that distribution, to be able to get it to a player further up the pitch and to be absolutely pinpoint. I mean, I just take you back, like you mentioned, to that Reading game. He just looked like a complete bag of nerves. Great. And sometimes with Vicario, like, it's very up and down. Sometimes he looks like he's decent, and sometimes he's just like really shocking. So, and I think that's just the theme that we've seen throughout his Spurs career, to be honest. I don't think it's a new thing, what we saw against Reading. I think it's consistent to what we've seen. Maybe some games it's like Reading, some games it's like Luton.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's right. I mean, even when we did the watch along away at Frankfurt, when we were like, just kick the ball out, just get it away from the danger zone, and just, if that's what you need to do. But I think his distribution was much improved from Reading. Like you said, it could be we could play Arsenal on Thursday, and it could be, but it was one of the things I saw. But you're right, Kinsky's on the ball is night and day ahead of Vicario, and Vicario's shot stopping is night and day ahead. So maybe with the goalkeeper coach, they will improve steadily. But for me, that's definitely an improvement. But like we said, this whole story we're talking about is about Kinsky, and unless we are bringing in a top tier goalkeeper, which I don't think we are, I don't think there's anything in this Kinsky story.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope not. I really hope not, because we can't go into a season with Brandon Austin as number 2. As much as I like Brandon, he came in and did a job for us at the back end of last season. I mean, there's clear levels between the 2 keepers, Kinsky and Brandon Austin. I think that's safe to say. Let's talk about some outfield players now, and we're going to go to talk about Kobbie Mainoo of Manchester United, as there's a report from Give Me Sport saying that Tottenham have made contact over the potential signing of Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo, with his contract situation unresolved. Tottenham have been keeping an eye on Mainoo's contract situation for some time now, and because it is unresolved, they have initiated contact over a possible move. Spurs are said to be impressed by Mainoo's versatility and have made initial inquiries to explore the feasibility of a potential transfer. I mean, look, he's a player who I'd love love to see through the door at Tottenham. But again, it's not really one I can see happening this window anyway.
Yeah, I think this guy has unbelievable potential. Really, I mean, we saw it in the Euros, didn't we? He's one of the star players for England on that run to the final. Had a very poor season with United last season, but there's so much going wrong at United and injuries. I think this guy's got all the talent to be a star. It's whether Spurs follow through with this transfer. And now, because of the Morgan Gibbs-White catastrophe, blunder, whatever, fiasco, whatever you want to call it, this does become a player that would interest Spurs or would interest myself as well. But again, it's reaching all the potential in the world, not showing it. But if he came, I would be delighted. I would be delighted. But is it the right way to go right now?
You're looking at, we're talking about his contract situation. His contract runs until 2027, but the club do have an option to extend that for a further year. So it's not like it's running down with a year left, you know what I mean? So I still think Man United will probably hold on to him for another year at least, even if he's not signing that new contract, because they've still got a bit of power in terms of the player's future. So it's not like he's about to leave on a free or anything like that. I think it will take big money to get Kobbie Mainoo out of Manchester United this summer. Yeah,
I think, Ben, as well, this could be one that could drag to the latter part of the window. And if Manchester United strengthen with getting a striker in or other areas that they want to strengthen, and then they need to recoup some money, then this could be one that opens up. But I didn't know his contract had that long left to last, in all honesty. So even more difficult now, in my opinion. But it would be a player that would be, I think, a welcomed addition at Spurs.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. I think he would slot straight in. Brilliant player. Got such vast amount of experience for someone of his age as well. I think he's done it in big games for Manchester United. I love everything about him. And also, when he was younger, pictured in the Spurs shirt as well. So you never know. Maybe he's a closet Yido.
There you go. Well, you got to think so. You've got to think that he's a closet Yido. And like I said, he has shown potential. He has done it in the big games. I remember him doing it in the FA Cup against Liverpool at Old Trafford, which is a massive. Obviously, we all know the magnitude of that game. So he has done it. Injury has been a problem, but it is a player that would do well at Tottenham and suit what we need.
Another player that we've been linked with is a player out in Saudi, Alexander Mitravich, caught offside, saying that Mitravich has been linked with a move back to the Premier League. Mitravich is on the radar of Manchester United, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur. Al Hilal are expecting a fee of around 30 million euros. The reported asking price is quite affordable for clubs like Tottenham and Newcastle. It'll be interesting to see if they come forward with an offer to sign him. Would you take Mitravich over Richarlison for next season?
Well, first of all, I mean, the wages that he's on there, and then coming back to England.
Look, if he wants to come back to Europe, he ain't getting Saudi wages. Let's
exactly.
Be real.
Of course. If it was to Fulham Mitravich, then yes, I would. Yes, I would. I think we need the striker that I think we need, or I would prefer, is kind of like a Jermaine Defoe kind of diminutive, ruthless striker, as opposed to a big stocky one that Solanke can do. Let's face it. He may not be as physical as Mitravich and have that bite about him, but he's got those attributes. So if we're to get another striker, I would prefer a more Defoe keen kind of forward. But Mitravich, if he came back and had the form he was in Fulham, who's going to say no to that?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, as a backup striker or a rotation striker for Dom Solanke, someone that has scored goals for a number of years now, proven at Fulham. Yes, maybe he didn't cut at Newcastle earlier on in his career, but once he found a home and really developed, you really saw him, score a bucket load of goals in that Fulham side for, I think, was it 1 or 2 years? I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know what? I think if we were to go, if it was a kind of additional signing to big signings in elsewhere of the pitch, I would take it, Someone that can, hopefully has proved his fitness over the last couple of years, as opposed to someone like Richarlison, who we just can't guarantee will stay fit for 2 games in a row, never mind half a season, you know what I mean? So I think I would take it,
But also with this, Ben, if you look at it, would you think or would people think with us going for this is even more of an indication to Richarlison that like your days are numbered?
Yeah, of course.
So he's saying he doesn't want to leave Tottenham. He wants to fight for his place or stay in the Premier League. You would think that would do it, wouldn't you? So if we were to pursue this, you'd need to get Richarlison out the door. We do need to get players out the door, but then it's just the same striker, isn't it? We're missing that live wire of a striker. So who knows with Spurs? But if we're talking a like for like replacement, then Mitravich is a Richarlison type player, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, in Saudi he's been absolutely ripping it up. But, I mean, it is the Saudi league, so you've got caveat. I mean, 19 goals in 23 last season, 28 in 28 the season before. I mean, he's been, like, outscoring or, like, on a par with, like, Cristiano Ronaldo out there. So, I mean, there's still something to say for that. And then at Fulham, in his last season here, was brilliant. 14 goals in 24, 43 goals in 44 games in the Championship the year before that. I mean, the guy has scored crazy amount of goals. He really has.
If that player's coming, if that Fulham player, like we said, and obviously he's been tearing it up in Saudi, then it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think as a squad player, as a backup to Solanke, and you never know, at some point of the season, you might favour him to Solanke.
I was about to say, do you think? Honestly, I think if Mitravich was to come, is there a case for him being the starting striker? I'm a fan of Solanke, and I think Solanke with the right, if we get the midfield balance right. And again, this is another guy that thrives on crosses, isn't it, as well, with his power and aerial ability. So we need to have people that can cross the football. But I think if you sign Alexander Mitrovic, as much as I am a fan of Solanke and think he'll have a better season, does he come in thinking he's the number one guy? Should he be the number one guy?
Yeah. I mean, look, he would need to win the shirt. But if he won the shirt, then I've got no problem with him starting. No problem at all. And last but not least, this is why you're all here. We're going to speak about Rodrygo now, as Ramon Alvarez, who is considered a tier 1 source out in Spain, covers La Liga. He says that Tottenham are in talks for Rodrygo and waiting to see if Liverpool make a move. Nothing has been decided by the player, who could still stay at Real Madrid. Graham Bailey says that Rodrygo has shown a willingness to join Tottenham. Spurs have held talks with intermediaries to understand the player's situation. Tottenham have budgeted for a big name arrival to potentially replace Son Heung-min this summer. I mean, it does look increasingly likely that Son Heung-min is going to leave this summer. We've heard about, various teams being interested in Rodrygo. Is there any alternate universe, any sort of world, any sort of way that Spurs can sign Rodrygo this summer?
In alternate universes, it probably will happen. In an alternate universe, you probably sign Morgan Gibbs-White, because we get nice things in alternate universes. I just can't see it, and I refuse now. I refuse to believe what these people were saying, for a majority of them. And as I said in my video I did yesterday, we have now become the patsy, the stocking horse, let's do all the work and then a big club will come in and rival us, or he'll get a new contract and his agent talk. So I'm going to be very, very wary with this one. Yes, it would be a phenomenal signing. Yes, it would be a massive show of intent from the football club. Yes, it will get everyone excited. And we've got to remember, people, even when we let go of Sonny, which we were saying it looks very, very likely, whether we want to say whether he had a good season or not, or he's dropping off, he still had got 20 goal contributions that we need to replace.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, forget how you thought he played last season. Got 20 goal contributions. And you take that out of the football club, we need someone to replace that and deliver that or exceed it. So would Rodrygo do it? Probably, yes. But I've learned my lesson, and I'm not going to get excited till this gets a lot further down the line. But I think I just can't see it happening. Would love it, but just can't see it.
Yeah. The thing is with Rodrygo, right? As much as he is a very, very good football player, I don't know if he can come in and equal the amount of goal contributions that Sonny got for us consistently. I don't think he's ever hit 20 goal contributions in a season, like even for Real Madrid. And that's, I know, like he has been playing a lot off the bench and in and out of position. And don't get me wrong, I'd get super excited if we could get Rodrygo in. But do you think he could or he would replace those goals that Sonny doesn't bring us?
You'd want to believe he could. And I think, you know what, we all know the pressure that you get for playing for Real Madrid. And obviously he isn't the star man at Real Madrid. There's a lot of players ahead of him. He comes to Tottenham, he's a star man instantly, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to be treated like the maverick, the big time player. And hopefully that will be a confidence boost for him and put him in a good frame of mind to be able to deliver that. And then you imagine him on the left and Kudus on the right. That becomes very, very mouth-watering, doesn't it? Pace,
yeah, it does.
power.
It does. I mean, it would be the biggest major coup Tottenham have ever gotten in the Premier League. That's what this would be.
I put it on a par with Klinsmann. Obviously, the valuations of Klinsmann and whatever are miles and miles apart. But Jurgen Klinsmann coming to Spurs was one of the biggest jaw-dropping moments in Premier League history, in my opinion, for a player of that stature to come to us. But this would be massive. In the modern era, this is 100%. This would be like the biggest jaw-dropping since Rafa van der Vaart.
Well, apparently it is Spurs and Liverpool who have the biggest interest right at this moment in time. We heard earlier in the window Arsenal was sniffing around, but they've walked away. Apparently, they're favouring a move for Eberechi Eze. With Liverpool, with the amount of money that they've spent so far in the window, can they actually go and get a deal done for Rodrygo? I don't know. Obviously, they're all their attention's on Alexander Isak at the moment. Do Spurs have an opportunity right now, with Sonny potentially going, that they can actually surprise so many people and get this done?
It would be a matter. Listen, apparently the finances are there. Apparently, obviously, with Sonny's wages going, that's a huge amount off the wage bill. Could we pay his wages? I think when we did this and we looked at it, I think he's on £202,000 a week currently at Real Madrid. So
pounds, yeah.
You know what? We can hit that. We can hit that. So there are a lot of things to say it can happen. But the other thing, and I hadn't even thought of it until you said it, why would Spurs go and pay 90 million or whatever it would take to get him when we can just pay 68 million on a release clause and get Eberechi Eze? So that's another kind of, unless Spurs want to really reach for the stars.
Eze's going to Arsenal, so that's...
I don't. Is that literally as good as done kind of thing?
It's not as good as done, but I'm pretty certain it's going to happen.
And actually, I don't want Spurs to go for anyone with a release clause right now because God knows what will turn up. But we'll see. I mean, if this comes, this would be a blockbuster, wouldn't it? It would be an absolute blockbuster.
It would be the most exciting signing in Spurs' Premier League history, I think. I genuinely believe that. I think what a player we have in our hands, and what a player he is. And even if he doesn't bring those kind of goal contributions or as many goal contributions as what Sonny brings, he brings so much more to the team, in my opinion. And look, he can play right, he can play left, he can play through the middle. Very versatile player as well. I'm not kind of getting myself excited just yet because I just know how this club work and operate and how the press operates. But if there is any sort of possibility to bring him in, you've got to push the boat out and get it done. You have to. Yep.
Yeah, but you've got to. Listen, we're running out of time. We all know that we've been burnt by Forest, and we need to make an impact now. And this deal would make a massive impact, and would be a a highly welcomed addition, and would get just the thought, like I said, of seeing Kudus down one wing, him down the other. That's salivating. That is like edge of your seat. We talked about not having a player that gets you on the edge of your seat and makes you feel like something's going to happen any minute now. Well, those two, pace, power, direct, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. And that, like we said, we keep saying it. This would be a huge statement signing. Should it happen? Will it happen? Is another question.
If there's any sort of truth to what Graham Bailey is saying, that he's shown a willingness to join Spurs, do not fuck this up, Daniel. Do not waste any time, and you go and get this deal done. You just go and get it done.
Yep. And preferably go get it done now whilst we're on tour.
Yeah,
so when they come back, it's there.
Exactly. And there's actually just been one more thing that's just come to light from Ben Jacobs. He's got an exclusive, he's claiming, that LAFC are advancing to sign Spurs captain Son Heung-min. Son to decide after the Newcastle friendly in Korea. LAFC believes Son prefers the MLS to Saudi, and Spurs won't stand in Son's way if he decides to leave. And for me, this is actually heartbreaking, man, to see Son going to the MLS at this stage of his career. Look, I know he's no spring chicken. He's 33 years of age, but with the amount of goal contributions he got in the Premier League last season, I think I still think he can offer Spurs a lot more going forward into this season.
He can, but you know, the way I'm looking at it with Heung-min Son now, mate, Heung-min Son has given us 10 years of incredible service. Incredible. Stayed loyal, stayed with us, got the trophy line. And obviously, he's under immense pressure and under the spotlight. And as you know, Ben, when I say overplayed and undervalued, whenever he's fit, he plays. Fit, you play, fit, you play, fit, you play. His body has been used 10 years on the spin, non-stop, relentlessly, not rotated, Maybe he said to himself, do you know what? Like Dembele did when he said, my body's packing up. Maybe Heung-min Son, the person, said, do you know what? I may be able to still do it in these leagues, but I want to have a different lifestyle. I want to have a different final few years of my season where, yes, there's pressure on me, but not the intense pressure that I get in Europe. Maybe he's just wanted a change of scenery completely and a league where he can still do exceptionally well, but his personal life, his private life, his quality of life to be a lot more chilled than it would be anywhere in Europe. So I'm looking at this more now as Son, the person, and what he wants to do for the final years of his career, as opposed to what he can offer on the football pitch.
He has always had an interest in ending his career, or as it's petering out, going to the MLS. I think he has spoken about it in the past. LA obviously has a massive, I think the biggest Korean community outside of Korea.
Yeah.
So there are a few kind of lifestyle reasons why he would want to go to LAFC, but I just kind of feel like that would always be there for him. Like, he can stay another year at Tottenham or spend another few years in the European leagues and play at the highest level. I still think he's still got it in him. But then there is another part of me that kind of goes back to what you were saying just there, being like about his body breaking down on him a little bit. And I can't get away from the fact that a lot of it has to do with the way Ange Postecoglou managed him last season. And I know, you've been saying it for a number of years, even prior to Ange Postecoglou, about, overplayed, undervalued, all that kind of stuff that you were just mentioning. But the way that Ange used him last season, running up and down that left wing as a touchline winger, get him to do the defensive work, non-stop running. Just look at the way Arne Slot managed Mo Salah last season.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the way that Ange Postecoglou managed Sonny last season. The way Arne Slot managed Salah last season, that is the way to manage someone of that age. Don't get them doing too much of the defensive work. Don't get them doing too much of the running. Get them in the danger zones, and they'll reap the benefits, and the team will reap the benefits because they'll get the goal contributions. Yeah, no,
listen, there is to that as well. But like I said, this has been happening. You look at it whenever Harry Kane got injured, instead of playing another striker, Sonny had to go over there to cover that. Then he'll go back to left wing. He never got a chance at with all of our managers. I think he had that one dip of form a bit with Conte, didn't he? Where he dropped in and then he came on against Leicester and scored that hat trick. But I think every other manager, Nuno as well, everyone, if he's fit, he's played. Doesn't matter about your form. If he's fit, he's played.
Yeah.
And I think his body has just literally come to. Obviously, with Ange, like you said, it was a very demanding role he asked for him, but asked for everyone. But I think the damage was already done with his body and with playing him constantly. And like I said, there's time where you've got to look at it, and maybe this guy has said, do you know what? I just want a bit more of my quality of life back as a person, not as an athlete. And also, you got to remember, America and the MLS will, but what a coup for them coming into a World Cup season to get Heung-min Son out there. It just ticks so many boxes for me, and I'm looking at it that way more than what he can offer in the league now. I think his body and himself just wants a bit more peace and freedom, and I don't blame him at all for it.
Well, look, that is the Tottenham update for today. Obviously, the big news on, or the big report, shall I say? It's not. I wouldn't say it's just news just yet on Rodrygo and Sonny. But we'll see how everything does develop over the coming days. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We've got a super chat here from Malware. And he says, we basically have two sporting directors. That's four eyes, two brains. One who stalks their prey in the dark. Another who's got a bunch of contacts. We are behind. And that does bring me nicely, big up to Malware anyway, but that does bring me nicely onto kind of the next segment of the show where we're going to talk about the kind of outlook of where we're at this moment in time, because we're sitting here 28th of July. We've brought in Kota Takai, who's not even going on the tour. Well, I don't know what's going on there. They're saying he's nursing an injury or something, but yeah, I just don't know. Which looks like Luka Vuskovic is ahead of him anyway at this moment in time. And then you've got Mohamed Kudus, who I think everyone can agree is a really good signing for us. But it just seems as though at this moment in time, sitting here at the end of July with just over a month left to go of this transfer window, has there been any change? Like, it doesn't look like there's been any change at this moment of the Ange Postecoglou era. We'd have brought in Vicario, a really, position of need at that point in time to replace Hugo Lloris. We brought in James Maddison as well, which are kind of like a marquee signing at that point. But we're sitting here and just Mohamed Kudus. Like, we all got excited when the Gibbs White stuff came out, and it hasn't happened for all the reasons that we know. But it just stinks as the same old problems at Tottenham, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously Morgan Gibbs-White, I am still devastated, absolutely devastated that didn't go through. And obviously, I got very, very excited. I foolishly believed that we'd get this done when it went to the out of our hands kind of Premier League battle. I was supremely confident, never wavered, because I love that player so much and wanted it to happen. And then obviously, for whatever reason, it looks like we've been used as a stocking horse, as a patsy, as a bargaining chip to get the contract. Or did Morgan Gibbs-White want to come but didn't do enough? Or whatever happens, we've just been left as the kind of middleman. Like we're just we need to get a player out the door, or an agent wants to get his wages. Oh, let's just use Tottenham, and then we'll come and swoop in and sort it out. I'm heartbroken.
What do you think? What do you think's happened? Do you think that Morgan Gibbs-White has used Spurs to get a new contract here? Do you think that's what's happened?
I you know what? I just don't know. There rumours came out that we didn't hit all the criteria in whether that's just hot air. But you know what? I said it. I've got to take it with a pin. I've got to take some accountability for what I thought. And do you know what? We got played. We got played. Marinakis showed it as well with Marinakis, and fair play to him as the Forest chairman, doing what we want. He's saying this is a sign of intent. Don't mess with us. I'd love to hear that we're moving with it intent. And the guy that used to be the biggest bully in the yard, the biggest shark in the ocean, is being shown that you can't mess with us anymore, or you can't do your, because we'll play with you. He's now become the goldfish bowl. Goldfish are in a goldfish bowl, just swimming in circles. And I will say, I don't think Tottenham did anything wrong. I don't think it. But could we, if these release fee conditions weren't met, could Spurs have been right? Here's the extra 5-10 million and cut short this contract? Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White had other things in his life, and fair play. Obviously, no one wants to hear about high risk pregnancies, and fair play to him. He's gone out to Forest. Obviously, I will say the contract release video was one of the most strangest videos I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
and uncomfortable. But it was a warning shot.
You mean the hostage video? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
as everyone's saying, the hostage video. It was a bizarre video, but do you know what? Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace and teams like Brighton are showing now that unless you pay the money, you're not getting the player. We won't stand for these bully tactics, or you think you can out-negotiate us. And Marinakis was true to his word. Whether we like it or not, he was true to his word. He ain't leaving. And do you know what? When Harry Kane left our football club, would we have loved to have seen our owner fight for a player like he did? Absolutely. Absolutely. Forest have played a blinder. They've got their player on a new contract. He's got a bumper pay packet. And we've wasted 2 to 3 weeks trying to get this deal done.
But everyone goes on about Spurs meeting the release clause and everything like that. But then there's reports that came out yesterday that said, well, we might have offered the amount of the release clause, but we didn't hit what the actual release clause was, and all kind of a fine print in it, and about payment terms and all this kind of stuff. So if you don't do that, and Marinakis wants to keep the player, he's well within his right to keep the player, isn't he? Like, if we want the player and we were really serious about getting him, and we wanted to hit this release clause, then you got to go to the payment terms and all the terms that they want and what's in the contract, and we didn't do that.
Correct. If those rumours are correct, obviously everything came out that we were led to believe, and we're all talking about, not just YouTubers, but people in the chat, just people that don't even watch YouTube, just Spurs fans or football fans, were like, well, if the release fee has been met, why isn't it done? What they haven't got a leg to stand on. And then obviously we hear yesterday that certain criteria wasn't met. I think what has to be done is like the Bosman ruling, where that made such a big change in football. And I don't just say this because of what's happened here, but I think there needs to be look into transfers and the way they get done by the Premier. But maybe FIFA, UEFA, I don't know if they have jurisdiction, but maybe the Premier League, like Spain, people in Spain, apparently everyone's got a release fee. I'm not saying that should happen, but maybe the transfer rules are a little bit outdated for where we are now, and how football has changed, and how heavily agents get involved, and the way that transfers are conducted, going to the agent and the player first before. Maybe there needs to be an overview on transfers, and I mean that for the Premier League wide. And maybe this deal has made me feel a bit more like that, but it just seems outdated now, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does for sure. But look, we got to move on. Morgan Gibbs White ain't coming. Let's put him in the back of our minds now. And we got to move on, and we got to act quick. Like, we've gone out to the tour, and we've got, a lot of players out there. But when you look at it, really, we got no left back apart from Ben Davis that have gone on this tour. A doggy injured once again. Injuries starting to mount up. A doggy, Kota Takai, Manor Solomon, Radu Dragoshin, Kulusevski, and Brian Hill. But I mean, Brian Hill doesn't really count, but all those players have all been left home nursing injuries. Got Mikey Moore, Devine, and Scarlett have all stayed back to focus on finding opportunities elsewhere in terms of loan moves. So, I mean, yes, I know it's just a pre-season tour, but the squad going out there don't look great, does it?
It doesn't. And saying the truth, I didn't know about the Takai news that you said just a minute before. But what we've got to remember as well with Takai is he's come straight from the Japanese league. He hasn't had a moment stop. Like, obviously, our players have just come back from pre-season, had a rest, had everything. He's come straight in. I don't know if Spurs are going to give him time off before he literally comes in. Well, I don't mean time off. He's been training, but I mean, ease him in because he's just come straight in from Japan without a break. It doesn't look good, does it? Well, springboard for success. Words used. We're going to use this. I will say, when you go on tour, maybe old school or whatever, this is the time, this away trip, the bonding off the pitch, but this is where you want your players in. So they have pre-season. The whole point of pre-season is to get yourself up to the standards the coach, manager, whatever, wants you to be at, to bond with your teams, to understand and build those relationships, and then start playing together, ready for the onslaught of the Premier League, where we're just here again waiting, aren't we? Yeah. Pre-season, once we come back, is pretty much done. Mm-hmm. We've got the Super Cup, and then it's go time. So
Yep.
all that time, remember how Pochettino used to say, "I want my players in early." Mourinho and all the other big clubs around us, and they try and get their players in before, so they have a bit of pre-season with this team, and we're here, like you said, with the players you mentioned.
And it's like Destiny's out, right? So that means that it's very unlikely he's probably going to make the start of the season because he's not even going to have pre-season behind him. So for the Super Cup, you're probably looking at Jed Spence left back, Pedro Porro right back,
Yep.
no cover whatsoever on the bench for those positions. Maybe an Archie Gray can fill in that right back cover if we really need. But no one's talking about bringing in a fullback, but actually it's our weakest position on the pitch right now.
Yeah.
You're looking at the potential of Sonny going, need a big replacement for him. We looked like we were intent on bringing in Morgan Gibbs-White. Was that just an opportunity in the market that presented to us, or was it a position that Frank really wants to fill? You've got the number 6 position as well, which, we've been told that we're going to go big on and bring an experienced player. We're linked with the likes of Paulinia, Douglas Luiz, Adam Wharton, and them lot. Like, is there enough time to get all this business done? Not only for the incomings, but right at this current moment in time, we're 9 players over the threshold for the UEFA numbers for the Champions League squad next year. That means every other player adds another one to that list. So it's just like, I don't understand how we're going to be ready for the season come 13th of August when we're playing PSG, or 14th, whenever it may be.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with this as well is we are absolutely shambolic at getting players out of this football club. Like, awful, terrible. If you look, apart from like the big players like your Harry Kanes that leave we can't get players out the door. Whether it's no one wants them, whether the fee's too high, whatever it may be, we just cannot get them out the door, or they're on a contract where the other club can't match it, and we have real issues with getting players out the door. Real problems. And like you said, fullback, we desperately need one. We desperately need one. We don't know what's happened to Destiny. Said an ankle. It was his ankle that knocked him out for 4 months last year, wasn't it? At the end of his first season. So let's just hope that's not a big one. It is a problem because, like you said, it's Jed Spence that's going to have to cover if Porro goes down, if Jed goes down. If Destiny goes down. Like I said, then you're looking at Archie Gray to play out of position again. And we're going into the Champions League. It's not very. Teams will look at us and say, "Look at this squad." I mean, even the front line right now doesn't tell Solanke Johnson or whatever way you want to do it. Isn't threatening in the Champions League, really, is it? For most teams.
You got Kudus there. Don't forget Kudus as well.
No, sorry, my bad, Kudus. Yeah, Kudus is there, so let's put that there. But there's just a lot of work to do, and the thing is, there is time to do it. But Spurs are working one deal at a time, aren't they? And it's taking a while to get these deals done. We're getting to the times where we need to have lots of irons in the fire and getting them done.
Yeah, and I just don't know, man. I just don't know if we're going to get all the business done that we want to get done. I mean, when we got the here we goes for Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White in the space of 24 hours, it kind of like, wow, Spurs have got this investment, we're changing, we're going big, we're bringing in Premier League proven players. But now it's just like Morgan Gibbs-White's fallen away, and it just feels like we've just wasted so much time during this transfer window. 3 weeks on Gibbs-White, a transfer that's not going to happen. And it's just, we're so far in. You look at the top 4 is getting further and further and further away from us. Not that I thought we could get top 4 this season anyway, but you want to build something that you can get closer and closer to them as you can progress. But I still feel, you'll probably disagree with me on this, but I still feel that we can rival Newcastle, Isaac-less Newcastle, and an Aston Villa to 5th place.
Yeah, I mean, well, I before we go, well, what we've done is while we're wasting this time, we've got to remember Billy T put a tweet out, and I agree with Billy T. So 2 weeks of the season to sack Ange. Whether
The
people want to
transfer window,
agree, it's right. 2 weeks of the transfer window to sack Ange. That's not what we're talking about here. Then it took 2 weeks to get Frank over the line. Then it took 2 weeks with Gibbs-White. That's 6 weeks of the window. Just dealing with those 3 issues. which could have been dealt with trying to get targets through the door. I'm still not where you are, rivaling fifth. I am still at eighth and upwards. The one thing, and like I said, I will remain positive the whole year, is Thomas Frank and his coaching staff. And I do believe he will develop a lot of these players. They will progress from last season. Where we can say players stagnated last season, a majority that didn't really progress, apart from obviously your Lucas Bergvals, your other ones that came in at the window and are new to Spurs. I expect to see players progress a lot and adapt to the style that Thomas Frank and Justin Congreen will ask them to play. So I am going to remain positive on what I think Thomas Frank can do. I am going to remain positive on what I think the assistant manager and the coaching staff are going to do. And the progress of players, that's not going to change. But I think at the moment where we stand, fifth for me is just a little, especially with 4 competitions, maybe just a little bit too far right now. But come the end of the window, we could see, like, you sign any of these players that we mentioned in the update, Rodrygo, then it goes up. Then it goes up because there's quality players out the door, replenishments. I still remain at eighth right now. But I do agree, Thomas Frank, I've got absolute nothing, 100% faith, confidence in that he will develop these players and play at a standard they will be able to play at. And like I said, when I came on and spoke to you and Simeon yesterday, not yesterday, after Wickham, and I said it after Luton as well on in chats and whatever, pre-season, the results been absolutely nothing. People look at One Day Ramos's pre-season where we absolutely obliterated teams. Then look what happened. This is all about the fitness, getting used to the system, and being ready. Obviously, the career games in Korea are a bit more serious because we're getting closer to the kickoff. But the results mean nothing to me in pre-season. It's all about the performance.
Apart from Thursday, mate. It does mean on Thursday, mate.
Thursday, yeah. I mean,
it's never a friendly against them lot, I'll tell you that.
There could be a Spurs YouTube 11 versus a Filth YouTube 11, and that's then you win it. There's no drawing or losing that is acceptable to that lot. So that game will mean a lot. But you got to remember, when we go there on Thursday, or when we're there, he will start playing more of his first team together, haven't we? These 3 games, they have been very, apart from the first half at Luton, it was a very strong team, strong team. But they're just getting into the swing of things. So Korea will tell a lot. South Korea tour will tell a lot. But the pre-season, the performances really aren't concerning me, or should they? And we're going to have to see, aren't we? But I do, like you said, have faith that Frank will get us flying up the table.
How many signings do you think? Well, actually, let me just go on that point a little bit, because you said you're looking at 8th right now. You think Spurs are going to finish 8th, right? So who are the 3 teams that are going to finish above us and below? Because I think the top 4 is the top 4 probably. You're looking at Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, right? No one's beating them for the top 4, in my opinion. So who is going to finish 5th, 6th, and 7th?
Well, again, this could all change. Well, Newcastle you'd put there, but if they lose Isaac, however you want to pronounce it, then what you got to think about with Newcastle, if Newcastle lose Isaac, could Anthony Gordon and Guimaraes be like, not saying it will happen instantly, but by the end of next season, I think Newcastle will be right up there. I think they will be right up there. So who did you say top 4? Liverpool, Chelsea,
City, yeah.
Okay, so then I'm definitely, obviously, Newcastle, let's say 5th. Just trying to think of the league now. Who else is there?
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, listen,
Manchester United,
majorly
Brighton.
strengthened. I think Aston Villa are a well-oiled machine. So I'll put Newcastle. So let's say 7th. I'll go up 1 position and say 7th. I think Villa and Newcastle, their squad at the moment is better than ours.
The thing is, I disagree with that, because you look at Aston Villa, Rashford, Asensio was so important for them second half of last season. They haven't replaced them. They've gone out the door. Rashford's at Barcelona now. Asensio's gone out to Turkey or wherever he's gone. I think Villa, They're going through their financial issues. They can't. It doesn't seem like they can sign players because of PSR or whatever. I think Villa might struggle next season, you know. And I'm looking at Newcastle. Isaac was so important to them. The amount of goals he gets and how he impacts their attacking play. I think they could struggle as well, potentially with Champions League football in there as well. So I'm looking at that 5th place, and I really think it's whoever wants it, it's their fault.
I can see where you are coming from, but the one thing I will say with Villa is Unai Emery has done a fantastic job there. Unbelievable manager for them, and he seems to get a tune out of them, and they go through certain stages of the season where they're untouchable.
Yeah.
Where they literally just play teams off the park and just go on a run of victories. They've got Martinez in goal, who we know is incredible and one of the best out there. Newcastle, I just think they're very, very strong. Yes, they could lose his. And again, this is the thing. We're going to have to wait till the window shuts to really have this conversation, aren't we?
Yeah, true.
This is the thing. And it's all ifs, buts and maybes. I just look at it and I think Thomas Frank develops players, a lot of them that we have here, and Justin Concrane, like we said. And that's why I'm sticking with Spurs at 8th at the moment. But come the end of the window, that could drastically change for our ingoings and outgoings of others. But I think we finish 8th or up, but 8th would be the minimum.
But I mean, look, we're sitting here like quite frustrated about how the window's gone.
Yeah.
Newcastle fans doing the same. And I know they've brought in Elanga, and that's pretty much it as well. And if you ask me Elanga or Kudus, I'd say Kudus any day of the week. And they're about to lose their star man in terms of Alexander Isak. Fine, we're about to lose Sonny, but I don't think it's the same kettle of fish right now. Isaac was like the best number 9 in the Premier League last season. Sonny is on the decline. As much as I love him and as much as I think he can do a job, he can't do a job on the same level as Alexander Isak, in my opinion. And I think Aston Villa as well, their fans will be very frustrated in terms of the way they're going about their business this summer. So I think anyone 5th down or anyone outside the top 4, I think has a good case to finish 5th. And I think with Thomas Frank and the way you say he likes to develop players and stuff, I think we've got a good chance. I really do. But when you're looking at the rest of a month and a bit to go, how many players, in your opinion, do you actually think that we're going to bring in?
I think we're going to bring in, or I think we should bring in?
That you think we will?
That you think we will? One. I think it's going to be 3. I think I do think 3. Whether they are of the elite quality of a Rodrygo kind of thing, or it's a Harvey Elliott, or it's even a step below that, or a step above it. I can see 3 players coming in. Whether they are 3 first team walk-ins is another question.
So with the 3, who would you want? Like, what positions are the most of importance right now for the 3 players?
Well, I think, first of all, they might not be the most fashionable, or sorry, I think let's just say Sonny is going, because it looks more and more likely that it's not. I think we need a new left back and a left winger. Then we clearly want a midfielder. But do we just go get a 6? And I think we need another striker. So I think we need 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I think if Sonny goes, we definitely need a left back. Sorry, left winger, 100%. We definitely need a left back regardless. Or another right back, and then Spence becomes the left back, because I think he did well at left back. In fact, I think he did better left back last season than he did right back. And then you look at midfield and striker. I think that left side definitely needs looking at.
Well, that's about 4 or 5 players.
That's what I'm saying. I think we'll bring in 3. I think we need 4 or 5.
Yeah. So out of those 5 positions, which 3 are we going to fill? Because there's been no talk about the left back whatsoever.
Nope. Well, Robinson, there was a little rumour, wasn't there? But I think he's been the only one. And Sirkin.
Yeah. And Walker Peters, who's ended up at West Ham. I think we bring in a 6. I think we bring in a João Palhinha or someone like that. Douglas Luiz. Who do you prefer, by the way? Douglas Luiz or João Palhinha?
If it was a loan, Palhinha. If it was an outright signing, Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, I mean, I'm undecided with it. I think like they both bring profiles that we desperately need, but I feel like Douglas Luiz with his passing ability, I think he might do just a little bit better for us than a João Palhinha. But I'll be very happy with bringing and seeing either of them line up for Spurs next season. So I think we bring in a 6. I think we bring in a left winger if Sonny goes. So that's 2. And I think that might be it. I genuinely,
You're playing one lower than me.
And maybe we bring in like a Harvey Elliott kind of player, younger up-and-coming player, instead of a Morgan Gibbs-White. So I think 2, maybe 3 if we're lucky.
So the reason I also said Paulinho if it's a loan and Douglas Luiz if it's a buy is whether it's 3, you're 2, is that number 6 that extremely vital that we spend a chunk of the wage, the transfer budget filling that, or is it we get a loan in so we got more to spend elsewhere whilst we try and nail down this 6 next season or whatever? Like I said, if it's 2, so you said if it's 2, it'll be a left winger and a 6, you reckon? If it was you, kind of thing.
I'm saying that's what I think we're going to do.
Okay, that's what you think we're going to do, yeah. Then that means, obviously, Richie's going to stay because there's no striker. It's just, this is where we are now. I think this is where our really lack of any kind of conviction at trying to get players out this door is coming back to haunt us. Yes, we've got money to spend bringing in, but we're just so bloated, aren't we, as a football club? As a squad, that this is an issue. Where can we get money? And if we talk about saying the money we spent on the incomings, if I had said to you, Ben, after winning Europa League, we'll be at July the 28th and we sold £1 million worth of talent, you'd be like, what the hell's going on? You would say, what the hell is going on, wouldn't you?
It's true, but we have got a new manager this summer. And he does need to make those decisions for himself. Like, we can't just sit here and start selling players willy-nilly, can we? Because he needs to get the players on the training ground, see them what they're like in these pre-season friendlies as well. Like, was it always going to be like this summer with the new manager coming in? Because he needs time to make his own decisions.
He needs time to make his decisions. I totally agree with that. But the way I look at it, Thomas Frank has been in the Premier League for 4 years.
Yeah.
He's seen these players, whether it had been their career solely at Tottenham or we've brought the other teams, he knows his system. Yeah. He knows what he's going to do at Tottenham. So he should know, out of all that squad, there's players I'd like to see if they can fit there. But then he would have seen players who would have been like, I just don't see how they fit in, and I may need to get them out to get players in. So if it had been someone from a foreign league that we'd brought in, and they weren't used to the Premier League and only see, then I totally get that. Let them see.
But I'm not talking about incomings. I'm talking about just the players.
No,
I'm
talking about the outgoings.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the outgoings. I'm talking about forget he wants to look at them to sit. I'm talking about getting them out. There are players, I'm sure, that he said he's got a dossier of all the players that he'd been monitoring. So you'd think he'd have out of the inflated squad that we have of a few that just aren't going to make the cut. And a few, I agree, that he'd want to see if they can fit and mould into a system he wants to play. But he should have known, like we said, he was given assurances. He would know players he wants to get out. But like I said, whatever Frank does, I'm supporting it.
Like, maybe he would have had an idea of players that he wants to keep. And I think he has an idea for sure of, the top players in the squad and the ones that he wants to keep. But surely there's only so much you can know a player from outside, but it's a completely different kettle of fish when you see them inside, you see their personalities, you see them in training. So there is that kind of element to it as well. Like, you can have files on a player and about what they do on the pitch, but when you see them with your own eyes and the personal interaction and everything like that on the training pitch, your opinions can change, can't it?
100%. 100%. But like I said, this is where, with such an inflated squad, we need to be decisive. Obviously, with the time we've got till the window closes. But like I said, hopefully he'll get a lot more answers in South Korea. He'll get a lot more answers on tour. And hopefully he will be filtering this news back to Lange, to Paratici, whoever is doing this, and they can start acting accordingly on both the outgoings and the incomings.
But I think there's one thing for certain. It just seems as though once again, we're going to go into this season not ready for the season. That's what it feels like in terms of having the squad that he wants to go into the season with.
Yeah,
we'll be scrambling around. We're going to be scrambling around for players in the last week of the window again.
But the thing is, we could be scrambling and pull off we could pull off a masterstroke. We could. But based on the evidence we have over the years, that's highly unlikely. Like I said, we went in last season with Dominic Solanke as the guaranteed only first team assured, guaranteed. And right now we're sitting here with Kudus.
Yeah.
I think all of us don't count Danso and Telenik because they were kind of done. And I'm a huge fan of Kevin Danso. Huge. I mean, we look at that with that deal. A lot of us or a lot of fans were going, oh my God, it's a Wolves wannabe. Why are we taking players from Wolves? I remember doing the update when it broke for you guys. He's a great find. He is a great find. He is a proper defender. Tell, I think, is going to be much improved. Whether that's good enough, I mean, at Luton, one of the positives, he's very good at set pieces or the corners. His corners he needs to improve. There's no doubt about it. And if we lose Son and he becomes the number one left winger, then it's a problem. If he's here and he gets time to develop or is playing more centrally, fine. But like we said, I think Frank will get a tune out of him. I think he's one of the players that will be one of the biggest improvers, or we'll see the biggest improvements, sorry, let's use English correctly, under Thomas Frank, and we'll start seeing this week.
You look at Ange Postecoglou's first summer, by the end of it, how many players did we have that improved the first 11 straight away? So we had Vicario, Maddison, Destiny, Van der Ven, and Brennan Johnson. 5 players already that came straight into the first 11.
You could add Manor Solomon in that as well until he got his injury.
Yeah, Manor as well. But I mean, Manor came in as a left winger where we had Sonny. I mean, Sonny played up front. He played up front. He played up front for the for that season. Yeah, you're right. But I'll stick it to just the 5 players. But I can't see us getting 5 players that are going to improve the first 11. I can't even see us getting 3 that improve the first 11. So I think it is worrying in terms of the state of the transfer window, just because what we thought it was going to be 3 weeks to go to what it is looking like it's going to be right now. There is still some time that we can salvage it. So they better be working high and hard behind those closed doors to get us some signings in, because we desperately need it. And I don't want to hear all the excuses about, oh yeah, but we have to sell to buy and all this because of the UEFA numbers and because of the Champions League numbers. You get a squad ready. You get a squad ready that you can fight on all fronts. And if you have to make some hard decisions about leaving some players out the Champions League squad, then you go and leave some players out the Champions League squad. You know what I mean? You don't make it hinder. You don't make it hinder the season upcoming and the first season for Thomas Frank. Just get the business done, and then everything will sort itself out.
I think as well, Ben, what we got to look at when we were talking about, especially when Gibbs White came about, when it all broke that he was signing, all the news broke once again, like it does every window, that £300 million is coming into this club. ENIC are putting £120 million in. It's all going to get announced imminently. We're going to get this done, and then we're going to start seeing some big players coming in. Well, I still honestly, I've never been more confident in these kind of investment talks than I have this. I just think that, but it doesn't seem to be coming during this window. It'll probably get announced after the window, which is, you'd rather it got announced before the window opens. Yes, other clubs would know we have money, but I still believe there is something in that naming rights deal. But we were all kind of getting taken in with like the Hugo Conte, Antonio Conte, with 150 mil, weren't we? We're like, right, who's next? Who are we going to buy? Where are we shopping? So that's when you're looking at transfers. It's like, what is our budget right now? Do we, in all honesty, do we need to sell to buy because this investment isn't coming in? And ENIC aren't going to put in whatever. Mate, there's so
I don't think we do. I think it's all bollocks about selling to buy. We don't need to sell to buy. We really don't.
Not with the numbers we create.
The only reason we need to sell to buy is because we're oversubscribed for the Champions League numbers. That's the only sell to buy thing here at this football club. It's nothing to do with money, in my opinion.
I hope so. I mean, with the figures that we're earning and turning over, obviously we've got to pay the debt off.
Yeah.
And all the hot air and lip service we get from the hierarchy. You would think now that money is an issue, especially when you're about to put, you were going to put 60 down on Morgan Gibbs-White, and you're talking about £90 million or whatever it may be for Rodrygo and all these others. Just like we were when we were going for Lautaro Martinez, when that money disappeared. We had that money. Where did that go? So
the list goes on, Brian. Lautaro Martinez, Dybala, this one, that one. You know,
exactly.
We always put in these monster bids, and then suddenly we just don't have a pot to piss in.
Yep. So we'll see that. Well, with this takeover talk or investment with naming rights, one thing's for sure: for the next 5 weeks, there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, and all will be revealed by the time this window shuts in 5 weeks, and then everyone can assess. But right now, we need to strengthen. We need to get players out, and let's just hope we're doing so quickly.
Yeah. Look, it is frustrating. It is frustrating at this moment in time, not going to lie. But I am still sitting here very much looking forward to the season. Still think we can have a good season. And I'm well on the Thomas Frank train. And I think he can bring a nice, consistent season for us this season, whether it be finishing 5th, 6th. I think 5th or 6th would be a brilliant season for us next season in Frank's first year with a nice few little decent cup runs in there. So it's not all doom and gloom. It feels that way because of the way the Morgan Gibbs-White situation panned out. But we have to, again, be patient, see what we can deliver in this transfer window, and then we can all assess it properly at the end of it on the 1st of September. But some big games to come until then. We've got these pre-season games, you know, the Arsenal coming up next on Thursday, Newcastle, come back for Bayern Munich. And then very quickly, we got that Super Cup out in Udine against PSG. And then it all starts again. So, look, we'll see what happens. Both worrying and exciting times all at the same time. But Brian, thank you very much for joining me today. Everyone, please do and smash that subscribe button, not only here on We Are Tottenham TV, but also on Brian's channel, Tottenham on Tour. So close to hitting that 10K marker. I think, 250 odd away. Look, we've got about, what have we got? We've got 1,600 people here in the live chat. Just a small percentage of you need to go over there right now and smash that subscribe button and get him to 10K by the end of tonight. That's it.
End of tonight, end of the week, before the filth, whatever. But I'm sure with the residency this week, we can get there. And anyone that does subscribe or is subscribed already, thank you. And if you do subscribe, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the family. Very, very close here with We Are Tottenham TV, the mothership. And we're doing a lot of content at the moment, and you'll be enjoying the content if you do come and join us.
Malware says Daigle's shirt is worth 214 likes alone. So
yeah, I've gone bright. I've gone. It's a baby pig shirt with flamencos on it. Why not?
Bring it on, mate. Bring it on. But look, that is it from us today. Ethan Wise saying Tottenham on Tour subscribed, like button smashed. Big up to you, Ethan, and big up to every one of you out there. Daigle, I shall see you tomorrow, my friend, and I shall see all of you guys tomorrow as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.